My child, before you ever spoke my name, before you ever knew the taste of sorrow, before the world taught you how to doubt, I knew you. I knew the sound of your laughter. Before your first breath filled your lungs, I knew the shape of your dreams. Before your eyes opened to the light of this world, I knew every storm you would walk through, every night you would cry, every moment you would feel like giving up. And still I sent you here, not as punishment, not to watch you suffer, but because I placed something inside you that this world desperately needed. A fragment of my own heart. You are not random. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake stitched together by chance. You are intentional. You are designed. You are chosen. You do not remember the moment your soul said yes to this journey of being human. But I remember. You agreed to step into a world where hearts can break, so that you could learn what it truly means to love. You agreed to walk through uncertainty, so that you could learn trust. You agreed to feel the weight of fear, so that you could become a living testimony of courage. And then, you arrived. You came into this world small, fragile, dependent, yet full of light. You don't remember how the room softened, the first time you cried, how angels leaned in as your heartbeat joined the music of existence, how heaven whispered over you. Here is another one. Another soul sent to carry light through the dark. You were never alone, not even for a second. But my child, I know what happened. The world began to speak louder than I did. Voices around you told you who you were, what you could be, what you were worth. And slowly you began to believe them. You learned that some smiles are not safe, that some hands hurt instead of hold, that some words cut far deeper than any wound you can see. You learned that not everyone stays, that promises break, that hearts change, and somewhere in that storm of growing up, you began to ask a question you didn't dare say out loud. If I am loved, why does it hurt this much? My beloved child. I heard that question the first time it echoed in your heart. I did not turn away. I did not cover my ears. I did not walk away because your pain was too much. I came closer. You didn't feel me, because you were taught to look only with your eyes. But I was there, in the breath that kept you going when you wanted to disappear, in the unexpected kindness of a stranger, in the way your heart kept beating, even on the days you wished it would stop. You called it coincidence. You called it luck. You called it just life. I called it protection. I called it mercy. I called it I am still with you. There were nights when your pillow knew more about your pain than any human being alive. You stared at the ceiling and wondered if anyone in the entire universe saw what you were carrying inside. I did. Every tear that soaked your sheets, every quiet sob you buried in your chest, every moment you held yourself together. When you wanted to shatter, I counted them all. You thought you were falling apart, but I was watching something else. Pieces of who you thought you were, slowly breaking away so that who you truly are could begin to emerge. You said, my life is collapsing. I said, no, my child, your life is being rebuilt. You said, everything is being taken from me. I said, I am removing what was never meant to stay. You said, I am losing myself. I said, you are losing what was never really you. I know you don't like the fire. I know you don't enjoy feeling lost, confused, untethered. But listen closely. I never send fire to burn you. I send fire to reveal you. Gold is not purified by gentle rain. It is purified by heat. Muscles are not strengthened by rest. They are strengthened by resistance. And souls are not awakened by comfort. They are awakened by the moments that shake everything they thought they knew. My child, do you remember those seasons? When you begged me to give you what you wanted, and I said no or stayed silent. You called it rejection. You thought you were ignored. But if you could see what I saw, the traps beyond that door, the heartbreak beyond that yes, the chains that would have formed silently around your spirit, you would fall to your knees and thank me for every unanswered prayer. You don't see time the way I do. You see one moment at a time, like single pages in a book. You cry over the page you are on, because you cannot see the chapters still to come, but I am the author. I hold the entire story in my hands. And I promise you, what I am writing is not tragedy. It is transformation. Yes, there will be chapters of pain. Yes, there will be pages stained with tears. Yes, there will be scenes where you question everything. But keep turning the pages. Do not close the book of your life. Just because one chapter broke you. I am still writing. I am still guiding. I am still weaving together every shattered piece into something you cannot yet imagine. There were days when you told yourself, I can't do this anymore. You whispered it under your breath. You thought it while looking in the mirror. You felt it in the weight of your bones, but you did. You kept moving. You woke up. Maybe late, maybe exhausted, maybe numb. But you woke up. You carried your heart like a fragile glass, and somehow made it through another day. You think that is nothing, but heaven calls that victory. Every time you chose to stay, even when leaving felt easier, that was courage. Every time you decided to be kind when the world was cruel, that was strength. Every time you reached out for help, instead of drowning in silence, that was wisdom. You ask me, where were you when I was breaking? And I answer you now. I was right there, inside that small part of you that refused to give up. I was in the friend who checked on you when no one else knew you were struggling. I was in the song that made you cry, but also made you feel less alone. I was in the stranger's gentle smile, in the random message that said, I'm thinking of you, in the sudden calm that came out of nowhere. Right before you reached your breaking point, these were not accidents. These were my fingerprints. You thought I had left you because you couldn't hear my voice. But sometimes, my beloved, I do not speak in words. I speak in alignment, in timing, in the right person at the right moment, in the right pause before the wrong decision. Your story is not proof that I forgot you. Your story is proof that even in the deepest darkness, I was still rearranging everything for your awakening. You have walked through seasons you never thought you'd survive. You have buried versions of yourself you thought you could not live without. And yet, here you are, stronger than you feel, wiser than you know, closer to me than you realize. You keep looking at the scars and calling yourself broken. I look at the same scars and call you chosen. Do you understand? I am not ashamed of your wounds. I am not disappointed by your weakness. I am not surprised by your doubts. I expected all of it, and I chose you anyway, because I did not choose you for your perfection. I chose you for your potential. I saw every moment when you would feel unworthy of love, and I decided in advance to love you even more fiercely there. When you said, I am too much, I said, you are exactly enough. When you said,
I am not lovable,
I said, you are the very one I love. When you said, no one understands me, I said, I understand you completely. So let me ask you this, my child. If I, who know you more deeply than anyone ever will, I am not giving up on you. Why are you giving up on yourself? Your life did not fall apart because you were cursed, forgotten, or abandoned. Your life fell apart because it was built on things that could not carry the weight of who you truly are. I allowed certain structures to collapse so that we could rebuild together on a foundation that would never crumble. Truth, the truth of who you are, the truth of how loved you are, the truth of why you are here. You are not here just to survive days, pay bills, and disappear quietly. You are here to carry light where there has been darkness. You are here to be a voice where there has been silence. You are here to be a living proof that even when everything shatters, a soul can rise again, stronger, softer, and more radiant than before. And this, my child, this exact moment where you feel lost, tired, unsure, this is not your ending. This is your turning. The point in the story where the character finally realizes they were never abandoned. They were being transformed. Stay with me. Listen. Breathe. This is only the beginning of what I am about to reveal in you. My child, you have spent so long trying to be who the world wanted you to be that you forgot who you truly are. You changed your voice so they would listen. You changed your truth so they would accept you. You changed your heart so they would stay. And still, they left. Still, they misunderstood you. Still, you felt alone. So let me ask you, if you lose yourself and still lose them, was it ever worth it? You were never meant to twist yourself into shapes, to fit into places that were never built for your soul. You keep asking me, why did they leave? Why didn't it work? Why didn't they see me? And I answer you gently, because if they had stayed, you would have kept abandoning yourself. I did not remove them to break you. I removed them to bring you back to you. Do you remember, my child, what you were like before life made you perform, before you learned to fake smiles, before you taught yourself to say, "I'm fine," while your heart was quietly collapsing, before you believed that your worth depended on who chose you and who walked away? You were pure, curious, unapologetically alive. You loved without calculation. You laughed without holding back. You cried without shame. You trusted without fear. You weren't perfect, but you were real. And that realness was holy to me. I did not send you here to become palatable, pleasing, or convenient. I sent you here to be honest, to be radiant, to be fully alive. The world taught you survival. I am teaching you resurrection. You think you are just now starting your journey, but the truth is, you have been on the path all along, even in the darkest chapters, where you did not feel my presence. You were still walking toward me because every heartbreak that exposed the emptiness of false love taught you to seek real love. Every lie that wounded you taught you to value truth. Every place where you didn't belong taught you to honor the feeling of home within your own soul. You say, "I wasted so many years." No, my child, you learned in those years what you never have to repeat again. You say, "I ruined everything." Nope. You discovered what doesn't work, so that you could finally open to what does. Nothing is wasted in my hands. Not even your mistakes, not even your weakest moments. I do not throw away broken things. I rebuild them. I do not discard shattered hearts. I remake them into something more spacious, more compassionate, more beautiful than before. You think your brokenness is a disqualification? I tell you, it is the very place where my light will shine through you. So let us begin here and now with something simple. Tell yourself the truth. No excuses, no performance, no pretending. Tell yourself the truth about what hurts, about what you miss, about what you're tired of carrying, about who you are when no one is watching. You have spent years begging others to see you, while ignoring your own soul. You wanted them to listen, while you silenced your own heart. You prayed they would choose you, while you kept refusing to choose yourself. But healing begins the moment you tell yourself the truth. I am not okay, and that is okay. I am not happy here. I am not aligned with this. I am exhausted from pretending. I am hungry for something deeper, truer, realer than this. Those truths are not dangerous. They are doors. Doors into a life where you no longer lie to yourself, just to be loved by others. You are afraid that if you stop pretending, everything will fall apart again. But my child, it already fell apart when you turned your back on who you really are. Yes, some things may leave your life. When you start to show up as your true self, some relationships will shake, some patterns will break, some identities you clung to will crumble. Do not be afraid of that. That is not destruction. That is alignment. I am not interested in keeping what kills your spirit, just so your mind can feel temporarily safe. I am interested in building a life where your soul can finally breathe. Let's talk about your heart. You have been through more than most people will ever see. You have trusted hands that dropped you. You have believed words that betrayed you. You have loved people who were never capable of loving you back the way you deserved. And now your heart is tired, guarded, suspicious of joy. You think closing your heart protects you, but a closed heart also blocks the love you were always meant to receive. So here is what I ask of you now. Not to throw your heart at everyone. Not to trust blindly. Not to go back to the old way of losing yourself. I ask you to open slowly, gently, intentionally, first to me, then to yourself, and finally to the ones who prove through their actions that they can hold what is sacred. You don't have to rush into love. You don't have to over-explain yourself to be understood. You don't have to beg anyone to choose you. The ones who are meant to walk with you will recognize your soul by how it feels, not by how perfectly you perform. My child, it is time to forgive yourself, not because everything is fine, or because it wasn't a big deal. It hurt. It mattered. You deserve to honor that truth. But you have punished yourself long enough for not knowing then what you know now. You blame yourself for staying too long. For loving too deeply, for believing too easily, for not seeing the signs. But listen, you were doing the best you could, with the understanding, the wounds, and the hopes you had at the time. You say, I was so foolish. I say, you were so human. You say, I should have known better. I say, you know better now. That is what growth is. You cannot demand from your past self the wisdom you only gained by living through the consequences. So release yourself from your own judgment. You cannot walk into the future while chaining yourself to regrets.